Here are 4 lies that Carlson has spread about Jews in recent months. No, Tucker Carlson wasn't detained in Israel. On February 18, Carlson and several staff members flew to Ben Gurion International Airport in a private plane. Carlson and his business partner, Neil Patel, stepped outside long enough to pose for a photo, which Carlson posted on X with the caption, "Greetings from Israel," before the entire entourage went back inside. They were there solely to record an interview with U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee, which Carlson insisted on conducting inside the terminal. Critics noted the irony. A man who spent so much time attacking Israel couldn't be bothered to actually see it. As criticism mounted, Carlson told Britain's Daily Mail that he and his staff were detained after the interview. Men who identified themselves as airport security took our passports, hauled our executive producer inside a side room, and then demanded to know what we spoke to Ambassador Huckabee about, he claimed. The story was quickly shown to be a fabrication. Israeli officials confirmed Carlson was never detained, and the room his producer was allegedly hauled into was a VIP lounge. I've been to that VIP lounge. They give you food, soda, juices, coffee. What do you need? Is there any way I can help you? That's the room they were hauled off into. Yeah, right. The U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem concurred. Carlson's group received the same passport control questions that countless visitors to Israel, including Ambassador Huckabee and other diplomats, receive as part of normal entry and exit procedures. And despite being debunked, the accusations continue to circulate online, lending false credence to Carlson's portrayal of Israel as malevolent. No, Christians are not mistreated in Israel. February 4, Carlson broadcast an incendiary interview with Hassam Nuam, the Anglican Archbishop of Jerusalem and a known Hamas apologist. Now, he knew that, but he sought him out to interview. Filmed in Jordan, not Israel, Carlson titled the episode, "The Shocking Reality of the Treatment of Christians in the Holy Land by U.S.-Funded Israel." Boy, that's a mouthful of anti-Semitism. It is filled with innuendo and outright falsehoods, painting an accurate picture of both Jewish and Christian belief. Researcher Dr. David Ornstein noted that Tucker Carlson and his guests served up a hefty dose of inaccuracies and misrepresentations. Carlson allowed Nuam's anti-Jewish statements to go unchallenged, and at times seemed to encourage him toward ever more inflammatory claims about Israeli Jews. Together, they falsely asserted that Jews, not radical Islamists, are responsible for the declining Christian presence in the region and have made life less welcoming for Christians in Israel. I would argue that Tucker Carlson is 100 times worse than Father Coughlin. 100 times worse. He's used all the modern techniques of communication, of travel, of the ability to spread thoughts and comments worldwide. In a nanosecond, he's used it all strategically to trash Jews, to trash Christians, and I would argue to trash President Trump's foreign policy, because that's what he's really attacking, President Trump's foreign policy, the Jewish people, Christian people, and it just so happens he's promoting the best interests and propaganda of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Iran, the Muslim Brotherhood, and their ilk. Carlson inaccurately portrayed Israel's Christians as persecuted and impoverished. In fact, Israel's small Christian population is well established and among the country's most educated and economically successful communities. You can go online, one Christian after another, one Christian mayor after another, one Christian leader after another, all say the same thing, that they are Israeli citizens, that they are proud, and many of them have been in the IDF, are in the IDF, have children in the IDF. Carlson also falsely claimed that Israel bombed Al-Ali Hospital in Gaza in 2023. In reality, as we all know, a misfired rocket launched by the terror group Islamic Jihad struck the hospital. He alleged that Israeli Jews set fire to the Tabith Church near Ramallah. The fire was set by local Arab Muslims. And by the way, a lot of churches are burning all over the world now since this mass migration of Muslims, but mostly the Islamists all over the world. Throughout, Carlson depicts Jews as sadistic, racist, American Christian Zionists, as credulous dupes manipulated by sinister Jewish interests, and consistently glosses over Arab terrorism and violence. I haven't heard him say much about the Iranian people, the Persian people who are being slaughtered by that Islamist regime. Have you? No, platforming Holocaust revisionists, neo-Nazis, and other extremists isn't merely asking questions. Carlson frequently demands hosting extremist figures by claiming he's simply asking questions. But providing a platform for hate often directed at Jews and Israel is provocation, not legitimate inquiry. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a propagandist. That's what he's a manipulator. 2025, Carlson hosted avowed neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes, who used the appearance to claim that Hitler and Stalin were great leaders, that American Jews run the country, and that organized Jewry manipulates non-Jews. In 2024, he hosted revisionist historian Darrell Cooper, who argued that Churchill, not Hitler, Churchill, was the chief villain of World War II, and that the Nazis did not intend to kill the Jews. Carlson praised Cooper as, quote, the best and most honest popular historian in America, unquote. In 2025, he hosted American nun and radical Islam apologist Mother Agapaya Stephanopoulos, yes, Georgie's sister, and did not challenge her false claim that Israel planned to blow up the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. Israel actually protects them with their own police and IDF. By giving extremists a massive platform and mainstreaming their conspiracy theories, Carlson is making anti-Semitism and its ideas respectable again. And it goes on. So let us spend a few minutes and discuss some of this. Why isn't Tucker Carlson being condemned by many of our leaders we love, including and especially in the Republican Party? Why is Tucker Carlson at the White House? Unless he's summoned there to be berated. But why is he at the White House? Number 3, why does he have friends at the White House? Isolationist friends as well. Friends who are undermining our military, undermining the commander-in-chief as I speak. Number 4, why during the height of the massacring taking place in Iran, which continues to this day, was that Islamist Nazi regime playing clips from Tucker Carlson's programming as propaganda? Why? Number 5, Tucker Carlson says that he's going to build a home in Qatar. The Qatari government has to approve that. Why is he so close? Not just to the government of Qatar, but the emir and the prime minister of Qatar. What's in it for him? What's in it for them? Well, we can tell at least in part. Does he not mimic and spew the Qatari line when it comes to Israel? In fact, when it comes to the United States? When it comes to Jews and Christians? Number 6, why has Carlson said virtually nothing, if not nothing, about the Christians being slaughtered by Islamists in Africa, being slaughtered by Islamists in the Middle East, being held as indentured servants, slaves, in Qatar, in other monarchical countries and dictatorships in the Middle East? Why virtually nothing at all about Christians? Why is, number 7, why is Tucker Carlson actively covering up the plight of Christians in the Middle East and in Arab countries like Qatar? Actively covering up. And there's more questions to be asked about Tucker Carlson. Why isn't he registered as a foreign agent? You know, this guy used to say, why aren't I registered as a foreign agent? Well, why would I be registered as a foreign agent? I don't represent the state of Israel. I give my opinions. about what I believe, and my opinions have been the same throughout my entire life and career. Whether it's Israel, whether it's Islam, whether it's terrorism, whether it's Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Iran since the so-called revolution in 1979, my opinions have been the same about my love for my faith, my love of my Christian brothers and sisters. I was among the first to speak out against the slaughter of Christians throughout Africa, the enslavement of Christians, the rape and pillaging of Christians in the Congo, in the Sudan, in Nigeria, by the Chinese Communist regime. Consistent every step of the way. He sort of seems like a foreign agent to me, and yet he runs around pretending he's Mr. America, that he defends America, that he supports America. He trashes America. He trashes our country. He's trying to divide us. That's what our enemies want, whether they're communists or Islamists or whatever the hell they are. The reason he's quoted, the reason he has access to these leaders is because they like him, because they view him as a useful idiot. That's why. This has a lot to do with American history. It has a lot to do with our 250th anniversary of our founding, the celebration of our country. What do we stand for? And who are we? And so while I'll continue to talk about our history, great patriots and heroes in our history, as well as loathsome traitors and betrayers in our history, I'm going to tie that to events that are taking place right now, because we have knowledge, we have experience as a people, and this is a beacon to us, a beacon of information that we should take very, very seriously. We are on the precipice of militarily, I believe, addressing, after half a century, a regime in Iran that has killed 1,000 Americans, soldiers and civilians, that has tried to assassinate our president, that is continuously obsessed with getting nuclear warheads and putting them on ICBMs that can now reach our country, to blow our cities off the face of the earth. They slaughtered 50,000 of their own people. They'd slaughter 1 million of their own people if it meant retaining power. That's not a government of a country. Those are terrorists that control a country. It is a police state that's slaughtering its own people to stay in power so it can slaughter us. It believes, as the 7th century primitive barbarians believed, that they must destroy civilization. They believe today that they must destroy the West. Most prominently, the United States of America. Those nuclear ICBMs aren't aimed for Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. They're aimed for New York and Los Angeles and Chicago and everywhere in between and around the United States of America. They're working closely with the Communist Chinese, Putin, and North Korea. And we are on the precipice, I believe, of finally addressing this so that we can have peace and security and prosperity. We haven't bothered that regime. That regime has been kidnapping, slaughtering, maiming Americans since day one. It seeks a nuclear weapon to destroy us. And any terrorist group that runs a country that murders 50,000 of its own people and would murder 1 million of its own people will have no hesitation about firing nuclear warheads against us. And we must not leave it to our children and grandchildren, because if we do, they'll have tens of thousands of ballistic missiles, much more advanced technology to reach every corner of our country, with warheads that can do massive devastation. And what will our children and grandchildren do then? Our generation has an obligation like generations past have had obligations to us to take care of this once and for all. This isn't about warmongering. It's about peace-loving. Folks, if you enjoyed this clip and you want to watch the entire episode, I'm telling you, you're going to love it. You can go to YouTube and subscribe, or go to Rumble and follow. And by the way, tell your friends and family too. I'll see you then.